start off by saying congratulations on the film. I've had a chance to sit down and watch it, and it's an amazing film, so congratulations.
Oh, thanks, Dave. Thanks.
So, Garth, tell us a little bit about this journey with this film for you. Where did it all start for you? Like, the novel was there. Where did the journey start for you, though, as a filmmaker?
I guess as soon as I started reading the novel, I started to see a movie play in my mind. So I guess that relationship almost started immediately, which doesn't happen every time you read something. And what struck me about the book when I was first reading it was the setup was kind of so Hitchcock and kind of old cinema, which I have a bit of a soft spot for. But the mystery that was unfolding took a right-hand turn and started to become this deep dive into this relationship on screen played by Saoirse Ronan and Paul Mescal, and I just fell in love with this couple and Hen being the central character and what she was fighting for in the story really represented something that was meaningful and powerful to me. So that's what really drove it.
Did you read the novel with making a film out of it in mind, or was it just a novel that you'd chosen to read for your own personal pleasure?
Actually, somebody emailed me and said, I've read this book over the weekend, you should absolutely read it. It's right up your alley. So I guess everything I read, I'm always hoping, not everything, but pretty much most things I read, I'm always got a part of me open-minded about it being adapted into something. So yeah, I was delightfully surprised when I read it.
The young filmmakers that listen to this show are probably interested to hear the answer to this question. When you read a novel and you think, I could make a film out of this and this is something I want to make a film out of, are you nervous then when you try to get the rights to make that film from that novel?
Yeah, look, 9 times out of 10, the rights aren't available anyway. A lot of these big streamers, gobble everything up pretty quickly. They have a lot of resources, so it can be very challenging to get your hands on material. I've obviously rang my agents immediately to find out who had the rights to it, and found out it was owned by Anonymous Content in America. Kerry Kahansi Roberts was the producer, and luckily for me, at the exact moment we contacted them, they were in the hunt for a director. So it was a competitive situation, and I put my hat in the ring and fought for it.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit there from the journey going forward then about sitting down and working out a screenplay and things like that. How long did that process take for you?
I guess one of the reasons why they gave me the job is not just because of my passion, but I guess we all really felt, which was a departure from the book, that this should really be Hen's point of view, and really kind of celebrate her story. So that was something that kind of triggered the adaptation. And look, it always takes a long time. But what was interesting is when I went to LA to meet Ian Reid, the author and eventual co-screenwriter, when I met him, we got on the room and just did a lot of page turning through the novel, and suddenly realised that we had so much in common. Like a lot of the paragraphs I'd highlighted, he'd highlighted, and this creative friendship just started growing in the room, and very quickly we were forming very strong writing ideas for what the film could be. So it wasn't a planned thing, but we came out of that meeting really feeling like we could write this script. I wanted to go to Canada to see what inspired the novel, so we spent some time together in his hometown, driving around farms in Ontario and Ottawa and meeting farmers, and that was very helpful, and that really triggered and kick-started the writing process.
What was Ian's response when you first said to him, look, I think this should actually be from Hen's point of view?
I guess it was exactly what they felt as well. Yep. So yeah, it was. I guess that was part of it, really. A lot of people came at the novel, I think, with the sci-fi in mind, and I guess that's actually not what this story is. The story is not. It's not a sci-fi movie, which everyone seems to lead on the front foot with.
Yeah.
It's much more a relationship story with that as the backdrop.
You mentioned going and meeting farmers and getting to look around a little of Ottawa. How difficult was it then to come back to Australia and kind of make your locations here look like what you'd seen in Ottawa?
Well, that wasn't the plan, and I guess as we were researching before we put pen to paper, as we were driving along one of those country roads, suddenly over the rise appeared this stunning kind of Andrew Wyeth-esque farmhouse, and I got chills when I saw it, and I looked at Ian and I said, is that the house that's in your mind? You know, it was like unbelievable. So we found this incredible house, and we got access inside of it pretty quickly, and everything about it was what we all imagined inside. We discovered this beautiful house, and straight away I was going, maybe we should film here. This is incredible. But when I looked around, it was just so picturesque. It wasn't the world of our story. So I guess we put a pin in it, and I came back to Australia with a problem to solve, like where are we going to shoot this? Also, Saoirse Ronan wasn't available. When she was available, it would be snowing in the Northern Hemisphere, so that wasn't going to work for us. So I guess I was thinking about Australia as a candidate, and I was camping with my family in the Winton Wetlands north of Melbourne, and I was struck by this national park called the Winton Wetlands, and was struck by all the dead trees, and that's where the penny dropped for me that we could take that beautiful farmhouse we found, do a version of that, copy that, and build the set on location north of Melbourne. And that was really fantastic, because I was definitely attracted to the Woomera and parts of South Australia for the more kind of the more expansive landscapes, which we get a glimpse into in the middle of the film. So at the end of the day, it kind of worked out really beautifully, I thought, using Australia to kind of help decorate, what that near future looks like.
I think one of the special things about where you chose to film was quite often as Australians will sit down and watch a film that's filmed in Australia, and kind of you're taken out of that cinematic magic because you recognise landmarks. Like I remember watching the Liam Neeson film that was filmed here in Melbourne, and we were actually watching it at a press screening in a private cinema that was a block away from where they filmed it. So it was like I walked past that just before. With yours though, like the Winter Wetlands, not very many people know that location, so therefore you still have that cinematic magic. Was that something that you were hoping for by choosing a location that maybe not even many Australians would know about?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I was determined to do was to bring something that felt very grounded to audiences, and locations are a huge aspect of my work. And I was very determined to find something that, we could really feel in camera. And yes, the Winton Wetlands is a very powerful landscape. I didn't even know it existed, to be honest. And I've lived here for over 25 years in Melbourne. And I guess what is so spectacular about the Australian landscape is just how much spirit is in the land, and how much power. Well, I definitely feel it, a connection to land and the power of the landscape. And the earth was such a huge character in our film. It just seemed like, Australia could really represent that in a really powerful way to global audiences. So, yes, and I did not want it to feel lazy or predictable. I really wanted to find those very special landscapes that, really did specifically speak to the story and the emotional themes of the story.
Definitely. And your cinematographer helps bring that to life so well as well. Tell us a little bit about that working relationship.
I was really drawn to Matthias's work. He did Son of Soul and The Nest, amongst other things. Look, I guess I was very aware that, this is a story, essentially a chamber piece, 3 characters in one house. And I didn't want to take that for granted. I knew I had to kind of make that compelling, not just in a script sense, but visually. And Matthias, he has such an appreciation of story and finding the true inspiration for how the camera should be in a scene. And I guess that was just such a wonderful relationship. And I just thought he brought so much craft and purpose and drama to the camera. It was very exciting. He's a lovely man, very well trained and very intelligent, and also beautifully artistic. So it just felt he just fit like a glove for this story, I think.
Definitely. Now, you mentioned before about the fact that this is a film that has a sci-fi base, but the real base is the relationship story. When you first sat down to work on the film, how did you make sure that that came to the fore? Because I'm sure there would have been a lot of studios out there that would have wanted the sci-fi element to have been the main focus. Did you have to fight to have the relationship as your main focus?
You got to fight for everything.
Yeah.
But no, I guess the two studios that were, fighting to buy the project, they were on the same page. They understood that, and I guess that's what attracted them to it. So I guess there's people who want to perpetuate the status quo.
Recording in progress.
There's people out there that want to perpetuate the status quo, I guess, but this was going against that trend, and I think that's what actually intrigued them as well. So I think our unique point of view was an attractive aspect for them. So yeah, you just got to obviously get into business with the right people that are behind your vision. I think that's the key element.
What was it that attracted you to that relationship? Was there something that stood out there for you and made you say, look, I want to tell the story of this relationship?
Yes, I guess I loved the context and I guess all the devices that enabled us to kind of explore this human relationship in the most unbelievable way. I guess I thought it was such a unique way to kind of study a relationship, and I guess ultimately I really related to Hen, the main character, and what she represented is something that touches on my daily life. And she's a character that really does appreciate and understand how precious our time is in this life, and she's really fighting to find her agency, and she's really fighting to honor this life that we have. So I think that is something that I really feel in my own life, and I also feel her frustrations, because I feel like society in general is really asleep to themselves, to the relationships they're in, and to the greater challenges that are kind of coming our way. And at what point do we acknowledge our interconnectedness with nature and our responsibility to it, and our responsibility to ourselves? And the film really looks at, that the real foe in our story is stasis and, not making changes that we need to make.
Definitely. As you mentioned before, this is Hen's story. Did you have Saoirse in mind to play Hen from the very beginning, or what was that process like to find the perfect Hen?
Look, the way I work is, Hen, I could definitely feel Hen around us when we were writing, and by that I mean feel her personality, her qualities. She almost sits in the room while you're writing, and I guess at a certain point you start to see if there's actresses out there that have a similarity to that feeling. And I guess one of the things that was speaking loudly to me was I really wanted this character, I really wanted Hen to have this kind of inner light, like something that kind of shined through the world, like something that kind of shone through the acting. And there's not many actresses that have that emanate that kind of that quality, and obviously Saoirse Ronan is someone that does that. Doesn't matter what character she plays in any movie, her inner light and her personality just shines through in spades. So she's the hope and the beauty of the movie. By that I mean soulful beauty. So yeah, I guess she became a pretty clear front runner, and luckily for us, she really engaged with the material and came on board. So yeah, that's how she came about. And then once we cast her, it's about relationships. So it's about chemistry and who you think could work really well with Saoirse Ronan as a human being, as an actress, and that obviously led me to Paul Mescal. And luckily for us, the shared Irish heritage brought an instant believability to this couple on screen, I think, and allowed them to kind of find some real truthful intimacy on screen, which was really exciting. And then Terence is probably the toughest character to cast, because the antagonist can always feel like a trope, and you can always kind of trip. But Aaron is a very interesting human being, an amazing actor, and I just thought he brought really beautiful choices to the beguiling truth of Terence and his actions. So that was a lot of fun. So I was really lucky and blessed to have these incredible actors.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Paul because he's been in two of my favourite films over the last couple of years, After Sun and The Lost Daughter. Sorry. Did you know about his acting abilities before this, or did you kind of discover him while you were going through the process of finding somebody to play the role in Foe?
Look, I was aware and had seen Normal People, so I was definitely aware of him, but he wasn't the breakout superstar when we were casting for this. So I really loved his work, and I guess I'm very protective of who I cast to put alongside Saoirse. I really have to make a good choice. So I was very determined to meet people, obviously. But Paul was in Sydney at the time. He just finished shooting Carmen, I think it was, and he had read the script and was crazy about it. So I went and met him in Sydney, and I have to say his ideas and his take on the character, his passion for it, was just immeasurable. It was enormous, and I guess we really got along. And the whole time I was with him, he really felt like the character to me. I really felt like he was hungry enough and brave enough to try this, and then I could also see a really good match with Saoirse. So I guess really admired his work. I think he's a beautiful actor, but I was also really taken by him as a human being, and could see in this role he was going to do things that he hadn't done in other movies. So I think he's really extended himself in this film in such an extraordinary way.
Yeah. And were you shooting during the pandemic? Like, did that make things more difficult to film here in Australia as well?
Yeah, we were kind of in pre-production during the pandemic and still dealing with the pandemic, wearing masks and being tested every day. And I guess that's the main thing, is just how exhausting it is. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's hard enough directing and getting through, a 40, 50-day shoot, but doing it with a mask on the whole time is just, the whole thing is just physically exhausting.
It's just about time to wrap up soon.
Yep, no worries. So, Garth, to finish off, what would you like to say to our listeners out there before they head out to check out Foe in cinemas?
I guess, we really feel, all of us feel really passionate about this film, and hopefully you get to come and see it in the cinema, because it really is a thought-provoking and very moving film. And just to be reminded that it is a relationship movie set against a sci-fi backdrop, and it's very unique, and I really hope you come and enjoy it.